you may not ever get everything nailed down, but you want to have that conversation before you actually start going to see properties, because you can pick out the wrong property and then you'll feel disappointed if you can't do that property and you wasted time and stuff like that. So definitely, when you guys said, should we be under contract? Like, no, please don't. You still want to kind of get pre-approved. It's not the same process as when you're buying a home to live in, but you still want to have those discussions of what does this look like, so nobody's surprised with how much money you need and stuff like that.
Cool. So,
Just a question.
we got another question. Yep.
So I wanted to I wanted to ask Ms. Bennett a question, because she did refer to when you are a new investor, and she's cautious, right, when working with you. So say if you bring in a partner who has all the things that you're looking for, as far as credit, the money, maybe, more than the down payment, would they be the primary applicant and you would be the secondary applicant?
Yeah, so if you're bringing in a partner who is already an investor, they know what they're doing, then we're going to base the loan more on the partner than you, the new investor. So we'll go up to that 75% towards acquisition because you're someone who has experience. And we've done that before. So yes, we would look at the experienced partner. Yep.
How do you vet experience?
So usually if you have 1 or 2 deals done, that's good enough for us.
With you?
Yes.
Well, just in
And
Oh, not with in general. Yes, in
Then
general.
other lenders may
Yeah.
do something else. Properties is something versus never knowing this before.
Yeah. And I'll get calls sometimes where they're like, oh, I did it with my own money before. That's still experience because you went through a rehab. So yes, that counts.
Renee, you gave us a couple bars about what to do. While I have all three of you here, give me 1 do and 1 don't. 1 do and 1 don't. And again, that's an open space, it's an open umbrella. But give me 1 do regarding your lending expertise. For Rachel, she'll tell us, again, financially, from a financial coach's aspect, but you won't give from a lending space. 1 do this, real estate investor, and don't do this, real estate investor. And we can come back. We can come back.
Okay, well, let me say the don't. So again, I'm going back to using like a credit card to purchase the property. If you do that, please pay it off, because I've seen instances where an individual might purchase with a credit card, and then by the time they get to us, their credit score is damaged because they didn't pay that card off. So now we can't lend you the money to rehab the property. So you're stuck with a property and then you can't move forward. So please keep that in mind.
And if you just joined us, that was news. Remember, New gave us that approach with the business, credit usage, right? So we understand. So pay it off. Rich.
So 1 do at least one thing every day that gets you closer to financial peace. However you define that, do at least one thing. And that one thing, coach, I reviewed my spending. Tomorrow I looked at my credit. One thing that is going to get you one step closer to how you define financial freedom, whatever that may look like. Don't spend a whole bunch of time and energy trying to cut corners. Because a lot of times, there's so many people trying to sell you a shortcut, and I'm gonna use air quotes. You're not really a shortcut. Like, you realize at the end that you've wasted so much energy on trying to cut corners that you really could have did it the right way, probably 4 times, and you haven't gotten far. So those are the 2 things I would say is something that will keep you going forward, and then the don't will keep you from going backwards.
I would say don't rush into it. A lot of times I meet a lot of people, like I said, they have done some crazy stuff and then they get to me and they're wanting to be superwoman and fix it. So one of the things people rush into, like I said, is trying to hurry up and move without any credit and without any money. Can you operate in that space? There's ways you can, but when you do, it's kind of like the shortcut situation. situation where you end up spending a lot more money and getting into crazy situations where the terms are really not to your favor. And you got this property and the interest rate is so crazy and the time frame is so short that now and now what are you doing with this property? Like, it could be really, really bad. So you want to not be so excited that you rush into things without having the proper guidance or jumping off the kind of the bridge and doing like you've never done it before. In your first property, you jump out and want to do a renovation down to the studs. Like, that's just so much. I guess you've seen people do it, but you didn't do it. It's a lot that goes into it. I always recommend people start with something smaller, something that's like cosmetic work, things of that nature. But jumping in, a lot of the lenders won't even let you do it. The one that lets you will screw you over with such high rates and fees that you wish you had. Most people that have some good sense about their lending will look at how much you're spending on the rehab versus the purchase price, and it needs to be in line. You can't buy a house for $50,000 and then put $120,000 of renovations. Like, they're like, whoa, and you've never done this before. They're going to probably say no, and the ones that say yes, don't want to do that. So that's what I would say, the don't rush. And do come to things like this, do speak to people that have been doing it, to reach out and try to get some information and guidance and coaching. That would be my recommendation.
Cool. I actually had a question, but I gotta do something, right? So I see a lot of note taking. Think about one thing today that you know you're going to do on Monday morning that you took from here. Like, real rap, like a lot of notes. We stuff ourselves with so much information and we still don't do, right? One thing, pick one thing that you learned today that's actionable that you can do on Monday morning, right? While the stuff is still fresh in your mind, while you still remember the guy that you seen, while you were eating your Wawa and he drops some gems on you, and you said you want to do that too, because he's doing something that you're already doing. Like, one thing, just pick one, because that's typically how this whole thing starts. It's all about momentum, right? Don't get in your way, your own way, because if you haven't started, chances are you come to stuff like this before, but you still didn't do anything, or you still don't have anything to show for it. Don't beat yourself up, but just do something, because a lot of this stuff out here is here for you. There's a bunch of people in here that can't wait to pick up the phone and help you through something, or plug you into somebody that they know can get something done for you. So get out your own way and just pick one thing from this weekend that you will do on Monday morning. Agreed, right? Can we all say we're gonna do that? Right? All right, whoa. Can we all say we're gonna do that? Wake up. I know you got fresh off lunch and this panel right here is doing like right? But again, we got lenders here. A lot of times your real estate portfolio starts from the financing. It starts from good financial habits. So make sure if you don't have questions or you're too shy to ask right now, while you're on the stage, talk to these ladies before they leave. Because again, they're givers much.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people they want to be a real estate investor and they forget the first step, which is home ownership. And we were talking about that I get people that call me all the time and they're like, oh, I want to get into investing, I want to buy this, or I want to get into fix and flip, whatever. And I'm like, hey, do you own your own home? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, that's where you should start at. That's where you can kind of get your feet wet and you get in with a little money down. So a lot of people come to me and they want to become a real estate investor and they don't really have much savings. And I'm like, if you're a first-time home buyer, you could be talking to Shy and he could be hooking you up. First-time home buyers type of stuff. You're in the wrong lane. You're jumping,
Yeah, so
too far.
again, a lot of investors want to invest, but what you mentioned, and we had this chat offline, is do you own your own home, right? Do you own one, right? Because the one will help you get multiples, but you got to own one to kind of get in the game. Good point. Rachel, we're closing. Remember I asked you, I said, one thing that you might want to share with us, that was Q's. That was
I gave mine already.
You
Oh,
already
one thing.
gave one?
Oh, well, I will say you have two options. You can either change or you can stay the same. You get to choose. I hope you get to change and grow, but those are your two options.
Renee, you're one good thing.
pull the trigger. Like Shaz said, you come to these events and you take all the notes, you gather the information, you go on YouTube, you keep, gathering information. Just pull the trigger, just start. Reach out to a lender, reach out to a realtor, just start the process and, ask questions along the way and you'll be just fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's our time. Anybody got one quickie?
Yeah, I got a good question. So about credit, right? Do you guys have any recommendation for like an app that accurately reflects your credit, maybe like Credit Karma or
Not Credit Karma.
I'm glad you said it.
Right, myfico.com. So this young man has great credit tool to know what your scores are. Myfico.com. It used to be free. It's not free, but if you're going to invest in real estate, invest in yourself first, right? So pay the bread. Myfico.com. Everybody should, if you are going to buy a big ticket item like a house, car, or a boat, you should know your scores before we know your scores.
And
Yeah,
the ones
let's
that
do
you
that.
get with
Let's
your
please
credit
do that.
cards or your banks, those are pretty accurate.
myfico.com. And then we do have access to those yearly free, sometimes they'll let you do them each month.
Yeah.
Those free credit report, right.com, and you can beat them up actually monthly.
Okay.
So, but myfico.com is the best way to know what your FICO score is. These ladies want to share with you where you can find them, starting with Rachel. She's got the mic in her hand.
I actually did.
Renee. So on Instagram, at Lender Renee, and then my email is rstenet, first initial, last name, at springgardenlending.com. Or you could just go to the Spring Garden website and my picture will be there. You can contact me. But Instagram, at Lender Renee.
Thanks.
My Instagram is at peptalks_, and my Facebook is just, of course, my first and last name. There are weekly money videos that I post on there to dig a little bit deeper into what we talk about. RachelHannibal.com is where you can, if you want to book a session, a one-on-one session, or if you have a youth group or some kids you want me to come out to your school or to your baby school, I can do that too. At RachelHannibal.com, you can request that. And if you want a copy of Amber's Magical Savings Box, you can go to Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, or Amazon to get a copy of my children's book, Teaching Babies About Money, everywhere books are sold.
My Instagram is Mortgage Goddess Kiana, and it's QIANAOU in there. And then Kiana Travels Montgomery on Facebook. On Facebook, you can find a link to schedule a consultation with me to kind of see where you're at if you're interested.
Awesome. I'm Shot. Thank you for viewing our lending panel. I'm Shot Knows Loans at Instagram. If you want to find me in the physical, come here. It's my office. You're my space. But I'm Shot Knows Loans, Shot Hammond on Facebook and all platforms. Thank you, y'all. Appreciate it.
It's going.
All right. Do y'all feel that was some good information? Yes. Very good, right? So, to tell you how good our, right? That was the first panel that went over time, meaning that they have a plethora of knowledge. Please reach out, ask questions, all right? Please reach out, ask questions. All right, y'all, it's that time. Again, I know y'all got I can't even tell. Everybody look focused, and I like that. Everybody look locked in, look like y'all ready to go. So we're gonna jump right into the next, right? Real quick, before we do, like I told you, I gotta pay a little bit of bills. I'm gonna bring up a sponsor, all right? So who I'm gonna bring up is Jerry Landau, and he is gonna come up. Could we give it a round of applause? So Jerry, welcome. Please just share the business, your sponsorship, what you do, and please just give a little bit about what you are.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. The name of my company is called Fund Real Capital. We have a sponsorship with David Williams. What we are is a real estate investment lender. Let's give a big hand to the ladies that actually did a great panel. what as a real estate investment lender, I lend on hard money, fix and flip, DSCR loans. We basically discussed a little bit of that earlier. And what I would like to do for another minute or so, does anybody here have any other questions that was not answered by our lender panel, which I could possibly answer for you today? Anything in terms of debt service, refinance? Personally, I am the refinance guy. That's what you come to me for, okay? Hard money loans, private lenders, everybody around the corner is a private lender. I'm a 30-year amortized mortgage person, refinancing DSCR loans. Today, we have great rates. The rates have just come down last week. Plus, besides that, I am a person that provides one-on-one relationships. I give you my cell phone, you call me, happy to give you any information about what we're looking to do. We talked about credit a minute ago. I can do a soft pull for you. Doesn't affect your credit score. Soft pull's no charge. Basically give you back the report, show you what you're looking at, gives you an idea of what you're actually going to be available in order to get financing on. So again, Fund Real Capital, pick up a business card, come back and talk to me, ask me questions. But does that, just one more thing, does anybody have any questions about finance? As we talked about when it comes to real estate, this is where you start. You have to find the property. That's one thing. But the scariest thing is about going and putting your hard-earned money into that piece of real estate. And that's where I come in order to make sure that that's a good deal for you. I run the numbers and I let you know if it makes sense. Then we do an appraisal report. That third-party appraiser is what we're going to be working with. It's going to tell you if this is good or not good. Anybody? Questions? Sir?
Do you need a lease to refinance? Is it done?
On a DSCR loan?
DSCR.
So a DSCR loan, that's a great question. We can actually do rent. Does not have to be leased, okay? We prefer that it's leased because that's what we're looking as far as the income approach. But you could still get 75% cash out of the new appraised value as long as it's rent.
Nice.
Anybody else?
I'm gonna take their questions and answers.
Yeah.
Thank you all, everybody. I appreciate your time.
All right, nice. So look, we're gonna move right along. How y'all feel? Y'all feel good? Yeah. Oh, that sounds a little tired. It sounds like that wah-wah and everything else kicking in. Do y'all feel good? Yeah. Y'all feel locked in? Yeah. Y'all feel focused? Yeah. Are y'all prepared for Monday? Yeah. That's step one. That step one is vicious. That's the first thing you need to actually do. Please do not be professional note takers. That is your profession. I just go to meetings and take notes. Do that step one. All right? Do not make that your business. All right? So without further ado, next we're going to talk about rehab, fix, and flips. Ooh, I just did the Bird strategy. I rehabbed, I flipped, I bought the property for 83, and I sold it for 320. Ooh. All right, so let's get it, y'all. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the panelist host, and that is Kamel Pearsall. Did I say that right? I hope I messed that up. I messed that up?
All the way.
So I should practice it. All right, can you tell me?
Camille
Pearsall. I'm sorry. Miss Pearsall, the mic is yours. Please tell me
Good
what you do.
afternoon, everyone. Y'all sound a little dry. Let's get up and move a little bit. Like, what's going on? Stand up. We hear about money, right? Yeah. That's how y'all sit about money. Y'all just sit like, hi, how you doing? It's okay. No, we hype about this. We are hype. This is a momentous day, everybody. I still see people sitting down. What's up, laugh at the shirt? So a little bit about myself is I am an instructor, meaning I will come out here. Guess what? I'm also an investor. So I will come out here in these streets and find you because I want to buy your house. Are y'all investors? Is that what y'all here for? Is that why y'all here? Yeah. So y'all can't do it sitting down. Now y'all can have a seat though. You cannot be passive in in this industry. I spoke with the younger lady, and she said, "You're so soft-spoken." I promise you, I really am, naturally. But when it comes down to this investing, when it comes down to helping people build legacy and wealth, that's when I show up and I show out, and it's loud. And I'm gonna call all of you today. You cannot do this from sitting quietly with your head down, taking cute notes. That is not how you will grow your portfolio. It's not at all. So I want everybody to put a lot of energy into all the stuff that's going through your mind. I want you to generate that through your body, through everything that's going through your cells. You gotta get up and move. You gotta get out here. You have to be ready to accept every challenge. Because again, it's not easy. It's not passive. Not till you get like all the way up here. And it's still kind of some work that has to be done. But without further ado, I want to thank Dan and Brad for sharing their platform with me, allowing me to host a wonderful panel on rehab fix and flips. My name is Camille Pearsall. I'm a real estate educator, investor, and general and motivational speaker. We are going to call out panels and to good notes. I gave a lot of thought to this today, so I hope you like it. Stephanie Smith, where are you, Steph? Woo! Stephanie is an investor. She's a real estate agent. She's a general contractor, and she does this in real life.
I'm gonna sit right here just in case.
No problem. We have next, Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan is a developer, a real estate professional. And you're also a contractor, right?
I am.
I thought so. He's also a contractor, so he does really, really good work. And y'all heard me say I'm a general contractor. When I say somebody else is really, really good work, because my personality is I'm very particular. This stuff is nice. And then we have Zena. Where's Zena? Zena is a real estate investor, developer, general contractor. She also still has her W-2. She's a software developer. If anybody has ever heard you speak, I will tell you, do not throw away your W-2 just because you got a property problem. Don't do it. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited. All right, so we're going to get into it. I have a question for the group. We'll start with Zena and then we'll go down. The market is always changing. What trends are you seeing right now in the rehab fix and flip space, particularly with the drop in recent interest rates?
So the drop in recent interest.
Mic?
Yeah.
No, yes.
Oh, thank you. So the drop in interest rates is relatively new. It just happened like last week. So there is a bum rush to the banks to find a lender that is going to fund your project. There is, there's fundamentals that you should always have no matter what the market is doing, and that's buying as cheaply as possible and managing your budget and schedule as succinctly as possible. Those variables never change. You have to make sure that you are buying as low as possible, and that means you need to negotiate. If you're working with a wholesaler, understand that they're building a spread into that number that they're giving you, so see if there's any wiggle room with that. I know that a lot of wholesalers, especially in the market that I was in Chicago, they didn't leave any meat on the bone. They was just like, this is what it is. I know it's high, but this is what it is. And at the time, it was such a frenzy in the market that people was buying at that price, that backs you into a corner. You're trying to never works. You're going to wind up with still a lot of project to go and running out of money, so always buy as low as possible. And that's true for any market, any interest rate that's going. Just know that when the interest rates go down, that means that you have more buying power, that you are able to borrow more money. But you still need to be prudent with that money and making sure that you're buying the best deal possible.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to Jonathan and Stephanie.
Thank you. The trends that we are seeing right now, so we'll take it back a few months, maybe a year or so, when rates really skyrocketed. So we saw a lot of investors stop doing the big gut, full gut rehab jobs, focus more on cosmetic rehabs, and focusing more on bringing more quality tenants into those rehabs, and taking longer to actually house folks just because there was a plethora of bad applicants out there, essentially. So we definitely saw more folks scaling down on how much they were spending on these rehabs, making sure that they were pinching their pennies and being wise with their dollars. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. And as the rates start dropping now, when we start seeing that effect, we start seeing more buyers in the market. So as a result of seeing more buyers in the market because of lower interest rates, we're going to start seeing, more investors putting more money into properties and starting to flip again, and starting to bring out more full like they did in previous years and such. Those are some of the trends that we're seeing over the past 18 months.
All right, I'm just going to keep it short and just say it's always a great time to be able to buy. So for example, even when we've seen the interest rates go up and even when we're seeing them go down, sometimes for me, my strategy would just change a little bit. So I kind of focused last year, for example, more on flips, whereas when COVID first hit and so forth, I was doing more so the bird strategy. I focused more on flips last year just because I wasn't really seeing profitable cash flow. Like Zena had mentioned about wholesalers and so forth. If you're purchasing a property and you're wait, you're still trying to sell this for $100,000 and interest rates are really high from a commercial standpoint. It just wasn't making sense for me. It was just better to just flip, in a sense, for me. I like to have some meat on the bone with cash flowing if I'm burned and so forth. So typically with my single family homes, I'm looking for $400 to $500 a unit per se at the lowest. Currently, some of mine do $900 cash flow. So I kind of like a lot of meat on the bone just in case something happens with maintenance and so forth that I have to take care of that. But yeah, so it's always a great time to buy. You just need to switch up your strategy when interest rates are plummeting and, as well as when they're rising as well.
So you go with the mic stuff.
Okay.
Start making sure. So the great thing that two of our panelists out were leaving me on the phone. Make sure you buy right. As real estate investors, we make money on the buy. That's what it always want to come down to. I turn down deals every single day. People say, why aren't you doing a buy? Because I'm not forcing myself into a deal just to say I'm getting busy, just to say I'm doing something. My track record is what it is. Anybody can check it, it's there. Never feel bullied to do something, to get into something. If it's not right, if it doesn't make sense, you want to make sure you have a lot of wiggle room left there. Because as Zena said, something's going to go wrong on their rehab. If you're running short on their rehab money, you're stuck. You're stuck. You already are losing money. You already are in the red. It's not going to turn out well for you. The only way to prepare for that is to buy your property right. How many more investors do we have out here? Maybe no properties. Okay. So how many people under 5? Okay. So it's a lot of seasoned investors in this room. My next question, just a follow-up for that is, how do you see these trends impacting first-time investors versus seasoned investors? Where seasoned investors, we kind of know how to maneuver, but first-time investors, they're seeing that the interest rates are going down. People are really, really hyped. There's been a lot of hoopla all over social media and the news that the Fed dropped the rate 0.5. That's only a half of a point. It didn't even hit. Honestly, the base shit has to go through the bond market first. But people are saying, oh, we dropped. This is the time. This is the time. What advice would y'all give to the new investors?
So for me, I'm gonna try to have a little bit of energy because people who know me, y'all know, Troy, I have some energy. But so for me, when it comes to first-time investors, or I want to talk to first-time home buyers, how many of you are first-time home buyers here, or going to be a first-time home buyer? Raise your hand high. Don't be ashamed. Okay. How many of you own 1 to 2 properties? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you own more than 5? All right.
These hands not matching, but we can make it.
How many of you own more More than 5, okay, we did that. Okay, 3 to 4? Okay, all right. Yeah, I feel like there's some hands that haven't gone up. Okay. So when it comes to, I'm a real estate agent as well. So I'm a licensed contractor. I'm also an agent. So I'm gonna talk about home buyers for a minute. With home buyers, I noticed like in 2022, 2023-ish, between 2021 and 2023, I noticed that when people were getting interest rates for, let's say, 2.5%, 3%, there was, you know, a lot of persons, not a lot of inventory, and so many people that wanted to buy. It was very competitive, okay? And what we were seeing is that with these particular persons who were buying these properties that were my clients, they were able to move out of, for example, areas that they didn't want to be in because, you know, they were able to buy at a more higher rate. So like, at a higher price. So like $300,000 homes, $350,000 homes, because the mortgages were still only like $1,400, $1,500, which is doable because the interest rates were low. Now, when the interest rates rose and they're like 7%, 8%, you know, you spending $250,000, and that's going to get you same neighborhood, maybe North Philly or whatever, and you know their mortgage is now not that $1,400. Now it's like, you know, double that. You know, so that's what I'm seeing from my standpoint. For me, or even for new investors as well, like I said, it's kind of tough when you're going to BRRRR, for example, because the cash flow will definitely be reduced. But part of BRRRR is doing it for the long haul, being able to take the equity out of the property when it's appreciating each year and so forth. So you just have to decide once again what your strategy is. All right. So are you going to be a buy and hold investor? Are you going to be a fix and flipper? You know, just more active income and not passive. You definitely have to decide that. But that's kind of what I was seeing. So even now, people, like you said, are more interested, Camille, to purchase because interest rates are going back down, where it's something that could be affordable and where it is that they want to live. But when the interest rates go up, you know, I guess it's kind of slim for agents, for me. Facebook, I can see that.
So I feel like for myself and people that I deal with, mentees and things like that, they ask me, should I get into a fix and flip now because interest rates are going down? And in the panel that was before this one, there was such sage advice about if you don't have your own home first, that's what you should focus on. So now that the interest rates are going down, that's when you should capitalize on purchasing your first home. And I caution you to buy a single family. I would say go and get a multifamily. So you can get rid of your highest expense, which is your living expense. You can get into a distressed multifamily property and do a 203K, which is like a fix and flip on, or a BRRRR on training wheels. So now you've added equity that you can tap into to get into your first project, and you have cash flow potentially from your renters, and you're getting to live for free. That money that you would typically put aside for your rent, $2,000, $2,500. I'm not sure, you know, anyone pays for rent, but those are the numbers that I've been seeing. Just imagine you putting that money aside for a year. $2,000 away for 12 months, that's $24,000. What can you do with that money? That will put you in a position to get into the fix and flip market or to do a BRRRR. So I would say as the rates come down, that's something that you should prioritize as a person that's new to investing, because that would be your first investment, especially if you buy distressed and you do 203K, which is, again, a rehab on training wheels, because you get someone from HUD, you get a HUD consultant to walk you through the whole process. And you can be as involved or not as involved as you want, but you still have the opportunity to learn. I think that would be a great starting point for anyone that does not have a property and does not own a home at this point, because you're going to get the experience, plus you're going to get an investment that is going to pay you.
Great, thank you. My next question is for Zena. With your background in both real estate and software development, how are you leveraging technology to streamline your fix and flip process?
So I focus on processes at my job, and I take the business users, which is like the C-suite guys, and they say, Zena, I want you to take this process that's antiquated. We use emails and we do all these things, Post-it notes, and I want you to transform that into a digital process. So I'm going through it systematically. What do you do first? What do you do next? What do you do then? And then I align that with technology. And that's the same way that I run my business. So I have different tools that we use, like me and my husband, we have Google Docs that we share, because a lot of times I'm in Chicago, because we invest in Chicago as well, and he's here managing projects here. So Google Docs is our friend, sending documents back and forth. We use Slack, of course. We use FaceTime and DMs. There's a couple of softwares that I am looking at, but we're still testing those out. But those are the major ones that we use.
So absolutely, we just had a conversation outside. I'll tell everybody when the panels are over, the side conversations. So a lot of people still sitting. Make sure you're networking. It's a lot of knowledge in this room. And one of the things that we spoke about were just systems and how to communicate with your team. Slack, Zena just said Slack is a great resource. I use Slack with my entire team, whether it's my rehab teams, my administrative team, my boots on the ground. Slack, like, is literally major. It allows everybody to communicate. I set it up per property, per address, and you can just go drop notes there, PDFs, everything is Slack. So all the note takers, take a second and start downloading. It's a space on your phone, get Slack. My next question is for Jonathan. What challenges are you seeing on the development side and when incorporating rehabs into larger projects?
That's a great question, and I think that every question you ask will be great, so I'll say that. If it's okay with you, can I take 2 steps back?
Absolutely.
Okay, fair enough. The previous question was focused on the new investors and what...
Let me ask you a new investor question, because I got one.
Say that one more time.
So you want me to ask you a new investor question, because I got one.
Please, ask me a new investor question, because I have new investor questions.
All right, so I'm gonna give him the new investor question first, and we can come back to that. Jonathan's new investor question is, can you share insights on how new investors can break into the fix and flip market, particularly in this environment where the climate is just kind of sketchy?
Thank you.
Flips are sitting, holes are sitting, everything's just sitting.
Everything is sitting right now. New investors, I love new investors, and the reason I went back to that is because I was a new investor too. I was wet behind the ears about 15 years ago before I dived deep into this. And part of my story actually has to do with Joel Crouch, who's standing back there. I'll jump into that in 1 second. But I'm going to take you back a little bit from my story. I worked at a financial institution for about 15 years. My wife says it was 12 years, but it felt like 15 years. This financial institution, and I climbed the ranks from low to mid-management level. I got fired from that job. When I got fired from that job, I did not have anything to fall back on. So when I left there, the first mistake that I made was I cashed out my 401k, I cashed out my pension. Because at that point, I had just put my kids in private school. I had just bought my wife a new car, it was a family car. We just bought a new vehicle for the household. And I did not know what to do at that point. So I was in fight-flight mode. So at that point, I was fighting. So I took whatever resources that I had. So I paid the penalties to the IRS, and I paid the penalties that the 401k administrator kept for however that world works as such. And I charged forward. And I said, what am I going to do with myself? I said, I've seen people buying and flipping. This is back in the day when you would see the ads in the papers, for properties for sale, contact me, or we buy other houses once you go to them and you purchase homes. I said, I see all of these things, and I said, I have to figure out what to do with my life. I have to figure out how I'm going to get my next meal, because I only had a finite amount of money that I had cashed out, and I had this tax bill looming on me because I was going to get penalized for that in the next year when we filed the taxes. So I went out and I became a real estate agent. I said, let me go and do what everybody does when nothing else in life is working out, become a real estate agent. So I went out and became a real estate agent. I sold a few houses for clients, and I met some investors, and I saw what they were doing. I said, you know what, I can do this. This all happened within the span of 5 months or so of me losing my job, me trying to find my footing as such. bought the first house, 339 North Holly Street. Look it up, 19104. Look it up and you can see the history of that home. That was Joel who actually helped me get that deal under contract. And when I bought this house, I hired a contractor. Let's call him Tom. May he rest in peace. Somebody shot him in the back of the head because he stole their money like he stole mine, and it had nothing to do with me. And I lost $7,000 on that deal. So new investors understand this. When you do $7,000, that would be all the money that you had, because guess where that money came from? Not from commissions from the sale. It came from that 401k pension that I was keeping. When I lost all that money, my wife had already planned a trip to the Dominican Republic for us. I said, baby girl, we can't go. I said, I don't have money. She said, okay. A week later, I came home and she already had the tickets. She said, Jonathan, I promised the girls we're going to put it on a credit card. You can talk about it later. I said, no, I can't. I went to the Dominican Republic with $100 in my pocket. Wow. I was enough for a cigar when I got to the Dominican Republic, because I needed that spice from the cigar to calm me down, because I didn't know how I was even going to provide outside of a credit card for my folks. American Express made the mistake of giving me a credit card right before I went to the DR. So guess what happened in the DR? American Express was all the way up right while we were there. But I'm going to bring this back home really quickly. I became my own general contractor after $7,000 was stolen from me, and I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I had to figure out what to do over here. I read, I studied, I YouTubed, I became my own general contractor. The first thing that I will tell you for all new investors, get somebody on your team before you go make your first deal. Assemble your team. Vet every member of your team to make sure that they have your interest and that your interest and their interests are aligned. That they're not thinking about one thing and you're not thinking of another. The goal is you are the client. Make sure you have your realtor, make sure you have your wholesaler, your favorite wholesaler, make sure you have your favorite general contractor. Make sure, before you even get to that stage, that you have your educator. Your educator is the person who you will spend the money on the most, whose dollar you spend on will be the most wise that you spend. Because whether you pay them $10,000 or $1 million, it's going to save you either $100,000 or $20 million in the long run, so that you don't lose that $7,000 that you don't have to lose. When I sold that house, your lender, very important. I was in the Dominican Republic and I ran out of money for this project. We talk about running out of money for projects because we didn't properly budget, which is something that has been covered greatly over here. I didn't have a proper budget. I spent more than I had to spend during this, and I ran out of money. I was freaking out in the DR at the hotel room, and I emailed Joel. I said, Joel, I don't have any more money for this project. He was I don't have any money for this project. I can't finish it. Joel said, give me a second. Got back to me within a day. Mind you, cell phone signal and email signal was spotty when we were on this island. So I'm nervous. I'm not enjoying myself in the DR. I'm thinking about Holly Street and what's going to happen to Holly Street when I get back. How am I going to finish this place? Joel emails me and says, oh, hey, listen, turns out you have enough equity in this deal. I can lend you, I don't know if it was $10,000 or $15,000. I tell you the relief that I have. It's a relief that I don't wish on anybody, because it's something that you don't want to have to go through. You don't want to go through that agony waiting for the relief. In a sense. You don't want to go through the process as seamlessly. And that's where your educators come in play. Make sure you get education, not just your YouTube education, but your brag education and the education of the folks around you and your counselors and the folks that you're actually paying to actually make sure that you are a winner. They want to see you win. Those are the people that you want in your corner. Now I can answer your next question.
Shared a real powerful experience. An experience that would have broke so many, would have told so many people, you know what, I'm done. I give up. This is not for me. I'm certain everybody here has a similar story of some contractor that underperformed, just ran off, just all types of stuff. It will happen. But But I guarantee you, if you invest in education, if you invest your time in networks like Ray, events like this, it will come forward. It will pay itself forward 1 trillion times over. I spent over $60,000 learning about real estate and property in one penny. Literally. Over $60,000. Joel, he's a great asset. Make sure everybody, contact with him. Literally, I'll call Joel the last minute. I need you to do, I don't know, go on the roof and do some jumping jacks on my video. Okay, Will. Tomorrow, okay? All right, Joel. So you want to have people like that on your team as you're building your team. Again, it's a lot of knowledge in this room. It's a whole lot of money. Make sure you are connecting, not just with us on the stage, but the people sitting next to you. I know a lot of them are. Y'all might not. You want to get to know them. Let's get back to the question. So this question is going to go across the panel again for this. Jonathan has the mic, so we'll start with him. What strategies do you recommend for staying ahead in the fix and flip market as we get into the next year? I know it's 2024.
It's 2025.
Yeah, it's 2025, 2024. So as we start this new year, what strategies can you give the good people?
To stay ahead of any trends, number one is lose the shiny object syndrome. Stick to your core principles of investing. 3 things that economists will tell you are required of it, that any human requires. Econ 101, food, clothing, and shelter. Food, clothing, and shelter are the 3, in my opinion, I know housing is, shelter is, are the 3 biggest money makers in the world. Food, clothing, and shelter. Those are the 3 things that are required of any, that we all need to survive. I said, if you stay ahead of the trend and stick to your core beliefs or your core investment practices, and shelter being that one that is going to make you a million or billionaire, don't change your strategy midstream. It's been working for you for the past 10 years and you've been making $100,000 per flip for the past 10 years. Why are you changing it right now unless you know you're going to make $200,000?
Say that loud.
Why are you changing that strategy unless you know you're going to make $200,000 on it? That's it. So when you're grounded in the education, I can't get back to it enough because I never had it. When you're grounded in the education, when you're grounded in the counseling of your peers and of people who have been in this industry for a longer time than you have, or have more experience than you have, then nothing is going to deter you from achieving that goal. As such, the real estate market, what changes in the real estate market is the interest rates and buyers and sellers. The houses don't change. The process of building a house doesn't change. The process of buying tile doesn't change. Make sure you stay the course. Don't lose the shot. I can't tell you how